Do you think that could become a business in itself? No tech, no devices, disconnected.
It
Maybe
is
a real estate project around
it
it.
is already business. So like people here around San Francisco, they would go for like 3-4 day silent retreats, or we don't use technology to find themselves, to clean, their souls. It's already business, and it's going to become more and more of a bigger trend. I mean, for some time, and first half of the previous decade, Burning Man was that. Now, sadly, Starlink destroyed it, that aspect of it. But this was a part of what Burning Man served to the technorati of that era.
India has Vipassana, which is similar,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, sorry.
No, sci-fi books, I exclusively only read sci-fi. It's a perfect picture on the future. I think it's Snow Crash was the book, where they basically had these bars where you go in and like everything electronic is turned off. And it felt to people very unnatural and weird because they don't have everything in their brain recording or an extra intelligence layer. I think that's the future people will do to feel human again.
So Snow Crash is an old sci-fi book. What are the books of today's sayings, if you're reading them?
I only read like older books. Like the newer books, obviously, like Blake Crouch is excellent. Like I highly recommend reading everything he writes. But like it's like reading the older books is fun because it shows you 20 years in the future. Now people are using like AI as the base and building on top of that. But Three Body Problem is like my absolute favorite. I've read it.
What does the three body problem talk about?
It talks about just like everything from interstellar space to how like humanity travels to different places. I won't do it any justice, like trying to explain the core fundamental science things, but I highly recommend reading it. And if you don't want to read it, just watch the Netflix series, which is a poor adaptation, but I know people like video more than reading nowadays. So it's unbelievably good. It touches a lot of pieces on society, culture, governance, interstellar space to just like even human emotions. It's like very, very, very well done.
You brought up an interesting point, like people have an easier time watching video instead of reading, because now we're constantly distracted and the push notifications, the technology are so addictive and we want to get our dopamine hit. So like going back to what we were discussing before, there are these offline retreats, but there are also some applications out there like ClearSpace and Opal and others that help you have like a digital detox on your phone.
They're all growing.
And all of them are growing.
Yeah.
So this is like, speaking, it's like evidence that consumers are voting with their dollars to block the most addictive products out there, most often social media products. And there is even a new class of like consumer hardware startups that are creating versions of dumb phones with some core utilities. Because one would argue if you cannot call Uber or Waymo, that's a problem. If you cannot, text your loved one, that's a problem. But you really need to have all the different messaging apps or social media apps on your phone? Probably not.
For the sake of playing devil's advocate, because as much as I love your guys' argument, I want to buy that. On the other hand, I was looking at the stat for how much YouTube is watched in the world. And if you do the numbers, the final result I got was 2% of all human waking hours is on YouTube. That's an insane amount. And look, there's some assumptions, so maybe 1%. So, that's rising too. So I think I still worry about it because sure, some people are detoxing, but it's like a vice is a vice. You can stop some people from gambling, but there's a reason the laws prohibit it. It's because people are drawn to vices.
I was in India for 2 weeks, and I've seen the rise of geo and cheap data everywhere. And I come once a year for 2 weeks, and it's crazy. It's like, the security guy at 3 a.m. in the morning is watching like a YouTube video, which and it's like probably terrible for his eyes. And like, it's like, I didn't see anybody it's like everywhere because it's so cheap. Data's proliferated. So, I think the genie is out. I think it's kind of one of those, like, we live very privileged lives being in the Bay Area. We can be like, oh, we need to do digital detox, and people are like still making money and all of those things.
You realize we're making a YouTube video right now.
I know.
This is YouTube education section, right? So it's a good part of YouTube. It's like having salmon and broccoli, great. It's not like McDonald's. I think we should all assume that we're living our lives in public now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit hard to say that if you're somebody, you know, in your like 40s or older, but pretty much, you know, every second or third building now on the street has some cameras installed.
Yeah.
Everyone has a phone with a camera. You have a city with self-driving cars, there are cameras. Like with all these sensors, you're living life in public. And then anything you ever say online, in theory, you know, somebody can track it. So imagine being somebody who is in elementary school right now. By the moment you started using computers, if you created, you know, your account, like on the iPad, and now you're using ChatGPT to help you with your homework, and you can share your feelings, everything, you know, is getting tracked.
I mean, parents are putting their newborn on Instagram. That's like, you know, like your digital identity is already being published.
That's right.
Without your choice.
Without your choice.
Yeah. And now it's just like the moment you push a digital device in any age's hand, it's gone.
What do you guys do for your kids? Do you have plans to put them on Instagram?
I haven't used Instagram in 4 years, so.
I think one of the thoughts I have, which is like hopefully positive thought, is, you know, by the time my kid is going to be a teenager, the iPhone won't really exist in its current shape and form. So like one of the things that I'm amazed by that could be a predecessor, you know, to this argument I just made coming true, is when you have really young kids interacting with technology, they do so with their hands or with voice. And then you put them in front of a laptop, they see the keyboard and they freeze. Like, what am I supposed to do with this thing, you know? Because so far I've been talking to my iPad or, you know, my dad is, you know, like iPhone. So I think, you know, if we're to forward project with new software and new AI first hardware, how we could interact with technology, the small screen might not be as addictive, you know? We might actually have it in our brain.